Akira was a trash background character until one day he and his classmates got summoned to another world as demon cleanup crews, but he secretly awakens an overpowered assassin class ready to clap the Demon King. The story begins with two assassins crossing paths when they are on the verge of terminating the same target. The assassin dressed like a ninja spots his counterpart, who is our MC, on the rooftop, and fear grips him as if he saw a Halloween costume in the dark. Instead of allowing his fear to overcome him, the brave assassin decides to fight our MC for who is going to earn the right to terminate their target. While putting all his effort into the battle, our MC flexes on him like a pro gamer trolling a newbie in Call of Duty.
This is business!
After using all of the tricks in his book, every bone in his body was broken by our MC. He finally gives up and closes his eyes to wait for death to come to him. After taking care of the assassin, our MC moves over to his target and raises his sword to terminate him while he sleeps. Before he can, the scene transitions to his backstory. Our MC, Akira, was in class, reading isekai web novels on his phone, minding his business, like the regular background dude he is, when something insane happens. A magic circle suddenly opens in the middle of the class, scaring the students. While others are panicking, Akira remains seated, wondering what the magic circle is. Eventually, the magic circle does its job, and Akira and his classmates find them in an entirely different room, with strange faces staring at them like they are party clowns. While they are murmuring and wondering what just happened, an old priest tells them to shut their trap holes and listen to the king's address. The mic is passed to the king, who welcomes the students as heroes to the kingdom of Redis, which is basically the largest nation on the continent. The king mentions that they are under attack from demons and only heroes from another world have the power to defeat the Demon King and his minions. Akira hears this and silently celebrates because he has found himself in his favorite trope. After the king's address, the priest steps up to explain things further. He tells them that the next big thing is to identify the single hero among the bunch. There is a crystal ball in front of them, and the old man tells them to touch it one after the other. One by one, they start coming forward to touch the crystal ball to know which class they fall under. In addition, the old man lets them know that they can see their stats themselves just by saying status. The students follow the priest's instructions, and Akira realizes that he falls under the assassin class. While the dude beside him is yapping like a parrot, Akira is busy wondering why there is so much disparity in his stats and the ones he has seen so far. Finally, the student council president, Sato, walks up to touch the crystal ball, and he turns out to be the hero, with some pretty decent stats. While everyone is excited, Akira is super worried because his stats are ridiculously high and even higher than those of the hero. Akira also notices that something seems off with the rulers, and since he doesn't know the way of this new world just yet, he starts thinking of a way to escape the situation. When Akira realizes that it is almost his turn to touch the crystal ball, he tries out the skill, Conceal Presence, which is on his screen. Fortunately for him, the skill helps him become invisible to everyone, including the talking crow beside him. After they are done checking their stats, the students are led away. Akira follows the students from behind, and as he walks through the walkway, he notices that there is a camera installed on the ceiling. This further proves his point that something is not right, and they are not being told the full truth. Unknown to him, a rather special knight, Saren, can see him even in his concealed state. After searching through the castle, Akira finds an abandoned room and decides to become Batman by turning the room into his hideout. Since he is an assassin, he decides to dress like one before stepping outside to get information. Akira is blown away by absurd things he can do, like jump high and climb walls like a cat. Akira then returns to his invisible mode before entering the king's chambers to listen in on his conversation. The king is busy writing, totally unaware of the danger lurking behind him. Akira has the perfect chance to unalive the king, but he holds back from allowing his intrusive thoughts to win. The next day, Akira is frustrated with the idea that his classmates believe that the king and the top people are their allies. After they are done eating breakfast, the students report to the training ground where they meet Saren, who introduces himself as the Knight Commander. Also with him is a four-eyed dude, who happens to be his vice, Jills. Akira doesn't want to get involved in whatever boring trash they have going on, and he walks away. Saren notices this, and he follows him, leaving Jills in charge. Akira is standing by the fountain when Saren approaches him with a clear indication that he can see him. Akira is shocked, wondering if he had disabled his concealment status. However, Saren assures him that his skill is still active, but he is just a chill dude with special eyes, which is why he can see Akira. Akira reaches for his sword, but Saren quickly tells him that he has no intentions of exposing him. This leaves Akira puzzled since Saren should be on the king's side. Akira finally agrees to sit down with the dude, and he tells him about his plan to see the archives because he wants to know more about this new world he has found himself in. Saren asks him about the level of his concealment skill, and Akira reveals that it is maxed out, ultimately shocking Saren. Realizing that Akira has potential, he offers to train him and also, but in return, Akira will give him knowledge about his homeworld. With this, the two ultimately become partners. Momentarily, he starts learning about the new world, and while learning, Saren is also taking Akira through rigorous and physical training. Later on, Saren calls his vice to fill him in on everything that he has learned from Akira. It turns out that Akira and the first ever hero in the land are both from Japan. Their meeting comes to an end when Akira knocks on the door to come see Saren. Akira shows up with a cookbook, telling Saren that he found it in the archives while he was searching for more knowledge on the new world. Apparently, the book contains plans for a coup, and Saren confesses that he was the one who wrote it and hid it in the cookbook. Saren already figured out that Akira would find it one day. Saren then tells Akira that he has plans to remove the king because he is no longer right in the head and would sacrifice anything to see that he achieves his goals. Akira is surprised by this, but at the same time, he can see from the book that Saren is looking for a peaceful way to remove the king. Akira then mentions that it would actually be easier if he helped terminate the king, since he has no ties to the world. Akira then reveals that he once snuck into the king's chambers and he had the chance to end him, but he couldn't. Saren assures him that he did the right thing, since the burden of taking a life is one that is heavy. Saren mentions that he might be an assassin by class, but this doesn't make it easy for him to terminate people. Saren urges Akira not to stain his sword with blood, since he has plans to return to his own world. Akira then asks Saren why he is looking out for him, and Saren mentions that he is the only student who actually used his brain and figured out that something was wrong when they summoned. Akira is blown away when he hears this, and he nervously admits that he has never been praised the way Saren just did, since he was always in the shadows. Later on, Akira and the other students prepare to enter a dungeon to slay monsters. As they march to the dungeon, Akira notices a girl staring at them in the distance. He walks over to challenge her, and the girl tells him about the sacrifices that were made just to summon the heroes. Akira wants the girl to say more, but the girl tells him to come talk to her when he uncovers the truth himself. Not long after, the heroes start cutting down monsters in the lower level of the dungeon. Sato and his classmates soon run into a group of orcs, and he uses a smoke bomb that was supposed to help them, but it ends up making the orcs more powerful.
Oh, hell no!
The situation becomes more tense, leaving Sato wounded. Akira steps into taking on the monsters, but even his sword breaks. Nonetheless, he doesn't give up, as he collects another sword to take on the monster. Akira notices that Sato is not himself, and he calls on a Dispel mage to check on him. In the end, it turns out that Sato has been cursed. While Sato is being attended to, Akira takes on the monster. Realizing that the monster is tough, he tells Saren to cover him while he tries to use his new skill, Shadow Magic. Just as he wanted, his shadow magic emerged from the shadow and created a sort of spiked pit that dragged the monster in before conveniently relieving it of its head. After taking out the monster, Akira is ultimately exhausted, and this almost makes his magic go berserk. But Saren appears behind him to comfort him and be a pivot for him to keep his cool. With Saren's help, he is able to deactivate his shadow magic. When they return to the surface, Akira thanks Saren for helping him put his magic back together when it was about to go berserk. Saren mentions that it is the first he will hear of the shadow magic, and by the looks of it, it looks pretty powerful, but he urges him not to use it unless he really needs to. Akira acknowledges this advice, and Saren tells him that he brought something for him, which turns out to be a katana. Apparently, it was forged and used by the first hero himself. Akira asks why he is getting the katana in place of the hero, and Saren mentions that the hero already has his holy sword, and in addition, the hero holding it will raise suspicions. Akira thanks Saren for the sword and mentions that he is going to take it. He asks Saren what the sword's name is, and he learns that it is carved next to the hilt. Akira checks out the carving and realizes that it's in Japanese, and it translates to God of the Night Blade. Furthermore, carvings on the blade are wishes from the hero that the sword gets to his successor and helps him in his time of need. Akira is impressed by the first hero's aura and mentions that he would have loved to meet him. Saren then asks about the hero, and Akira mentions that the spell affecting him is too powerful, making it hard to be dispelled. Saren tells Akira that he vaguely has an idea who is behind it. That night, Akira heads to the princess's room to find her disrupting Sato's senses with a stone imbued with a curse. Without hesitation, Akira cuts down the stone and places a sword to her neck, asking her why she is doing what she is doing. All she answers with is that she is doing it for the king, and Akira, realizing that she won't budge, decides to leave. Unknown to him, the princess has a stone for each of the heroes, and the moment he leaves, she resumes her evil deeds. Akira then returns to Saren's chambers to inform him of what he saw, and Saren reveals that the princess is nothing more than a puppet to the king. He asks Akira if he revealed himself to the princess, and he says yes. Instead of scolding him, he basically tells him not to sleep in the castle for the night because they are going to be on the lookout for him. Akira is surprised that he is not getting scolded, and Saren mentions that he is still young and liable to make mistakes, but it is his job to help fix his errors. The next morning, Akira wakes up from the tree where he slept, only to see a crowd standing in the courtyard. He strolls to the courtyard, wondering what is happening over there. From the first interaction he has with Sato, he realizes that the curse is broken. Akira then asks him what the issue is, and he mentions that they are all gathered because of the commander. The moment Akira hears this, he pushes all of them aside and rushes to the middle to find Saren lying in a pool of his blood with a dagger stuck in his chest. Akira falls to his knees in despair, asking the heavens why Saren was terminated. Just then, one of his classmates mentions that the dagger in the commander's chest is the same one that he used in the dungeon. Akira tries to remind him that his dagger broke in the dungeon, but the rest of the class supports the dude, saying Akira is definitely behind the commander's death. Without thinking twice, Akira easily figures out that his classmates are under the princess's spell. Out of everyone, Sato is the only one trying to be reasonable, but the king soon shows up and orders that the knights terminate Akira. Realizing the danger, he quickly activates the concealment skill to get away from them. He appears behind Jills and subtly calls his name so as not to scare him. Jills then mentions that the commander was sent to the afterlife by the king's personal assassins, the Night Ravens. Jills lets him know that the assassins are also after him, but the commander had already left provisions for him in his chambers. Akira thanks Jills and immediately heads to Saren's chambers to get the things he left for him. Akira is thankful that Saren made the provisions beforehand, just as if he already knew that he was going to be eliminated. Akira safely escapes the palace, but the king tells the princess to make sure that they stay on his tail. Before his death, Saren had told Akira that the best place for him to hide when he is in trouble is the dungeon. However, he warns him to be careful because he is going to have little access to water. And in addition to this, the enhanced monsters can sense him even in a concealed state. Saren lets him know that he can easily level up in the dungeon and increase his class abilities. Saren had advised him to head to the labyrinth of Cantinen to try and take out the bosses on every 10th floor because he would get special rewards from this. However, he lets him know that he won't be able to leave a boss's chamber once he enters, and it would be a fight to the death. The first boss room that Akira enters is a monster that looks like a cat, but has a snake for a tail. Akira gets completely overwhelmed in the first few minutes of the battle, and realizes that he is about to be terminated. He activates his shadow skill. The skill takes effect and rips the monster to shreds, but he passes out right after. The shadow system senses his bad state and kicks into action to heal him and prevent him from dying. At the palace, Sato urges his classmates to join him in the hunt for the Demon Lord, but the princess's curse makes them say no. Suddenly, one of the classmates, Asa, offers to follow Sato, and before he knows it, a couple more join Sato. Sato thanks them, and after they get out of the castle, he asks them why they followed him. The Dispelling Mage mentions that she could sense that they were under a curse, but Asa says he faintly remembers breaking into a room and destroying strange stones. Unknown to them, Asa was under Jill's manipulation spell, which is stronger than the curse, and this was how he was able to free himself and a few others from the princess's curse. Sato and his classmates then begin their journey to hunt down the Demon Lord, while Asa is aiming to connect with Akira again. Apparently, Asa was the only person whom Akira connected with back in their home world. In the dungeon, Akira finally wakes up from his slumber, and to his surprise, he has fully recovered. In addition to this, his stats have gone up a lot better than before. Since he had not the faintest idea of what had happened, all he could do was continue to explore the dungeon. As he proceeds further in the dungeon, he marks his path with the level number to know where he is. When he gets to the 75th level, a slime suddenly pops down above him, but he manages to get out of the way before it hits him. He cuts down the slime, but to his surprise, an unconscious elven woman drops from inside the slime. Akira is blown away by the beauty of the lady. Since he is curious about the lady, he decides to use one of his skills, World Eyes, to get information on her. However, he immediately deactivates it because of the rush of information passing through his head. Suddenly, the elven girl regains consciousness, and with a little information that Akira obtained, he realized that the girl also has the World Eyes skill. The girl passes out again after asking Akira where they are. Later on, the elf wakes up to find a blanket on her, and there is also a fire to keep her warm. The girl is impressed by all the things that Akira has done, and Akira mentions that he is used to it because he was the one caring for his sick mother. After a short conversation about being royalty, the girl decides to go back to sleep, and Akira does the same. The next morning, the girl stays with Akira to explore the dungeon, and soon afterward, they arrive at the boss's chambers, which turn out to be a dragon. After a hard-fought battle, Akira is able to take down the dragon with his wits. The elf is impressed by Akira's strength, but suddenly, the dead dragon is suddenly engulfed in a blinding white light, leaving them utterly shocked. If you liked this video and want to see what happens next, comment Sato is the GOAT to confuse the losers who didn't stay till the end.